Yeah, I think, with this being a resale shop, they got the higher brand stuff,
If you noticed my post, I have made quite the point about the cicada, also known as the cicadas. The locust, and especially the adult locust, is far more harmful than the cicadas. The problem with the male locust, especially the adult, and of course even the female locust, is that they can travel great distances and do much harm. When we go back to study the Dust Bowl, many will say it was created because of irrigation, which is a full-on lie. The Dust Bowl, which covered Texas in a mist and cloud of thick dust that you could not breathe through and would kill you dead, was caused by one thing and one thing only: the locust. And they are on their way.
Hi, welcome to the Please Subscribe show. That means subscribe. Okay, so I did continue to write the werewolf movie, and I do, when I write something, I have a person in mind. So Gerald Oldman III, I kind of think of like Gary Oldman, because he's European. I think he's from England. His last name ends in Oldman, but so that's kind of very clear what I did there. I did write the scene though. So I got past the Denny's scene, they left Denny's, I jumped in the Uber. He's with John Blacksmith, who is the blacksmith from Oregon. And they're both traveling to Barksville. That's when the Steely Dan song comes up. It's fairly simple. They have a conversation, they're talking about scotch. The song happens to come on. And probably the Uber driver did it, because they were drinking scotch, and the Uber driver probably just, it's at present day, so they could just press the button and it happens to come on. And they're singing, there's a place for the winners in the world. I want a place when I lose. I drink scotch whiskey all night long. I hide behind the wheel. So that goes on. And so I always, what I do is, if I'm really going to complete something, which this one will be completed. The other one I did a few years ago was a projectionist. It was a little bit like this, went a little bit quicker. That's a good one. And the one after that was, of course, The Filmmakers, which is a ghost story. That one was completed. I kind of threw an ending on that one, but it was completed. And now this one, didn't think I was going to do another one, but I did. It was Grace, which started off as a fighting film and turned into a werewolf film. Regardless, I know, I can tell when a script is going to be completed, because I think about it, it comes back to me, it kind of haunts me. The characters I can kind of hear talking, and then all of a sudden, as my hands start to type it out, it starts to take word form. One thing I wanted to say something is, I wanted to go on a tangent, which I do, and I want to talk a little bit about something called the unholy trinity. The writer is never seen, but the words make it to the party. The reason why is that I gotta wrap this up pretty quick. There's some stuff here. The writer's words make it to the party, but sometimes they're not there. The Antichrist in the unholy trinity is there. So he's at the party, shaking hands, everybody's, oh look, it's the Antichrist, oh, blah, blah, blah. So they all like him. The one thing about the unholy Trinity is that you never see Satan. You never see him. He's completely invisible. It's as if he was never there. Now, someone may show up at the party and pretend like he's him, but in the real unholy Trinity, you have three components. You have the Antichrist, who you see very, very clearly. He's a great guy. You know, he's controlling everything. Basically, he's the political figure kind of thing. Second, you have the words, right? The text, the evil literature that makes it to the party, and it's passed around the party. Everyone reads the little pamphlet or the book, or whatever it may be. They're like, wow, this is really good. This is really good stuff. This is really well written. That would be part of the unholy Trinity. And then the essence of Satan in the background. You don't ever see him. You never meet him, but he's there. So I was thinking about that because this is Bluetooth will probably kick in right here. But I was thinking about that because the werewolf film deals with, and a cursed beast, of course, is somewhere in the mix. And I was thinking, is it the Antichrist? Is the cursed beast, you know, the werewolf, the lycanthrope, the one suffering from lycanthropy, the lycanthrope? Okay, there's all these words that go with lycanthrope. The werewolf. Is he the Antichrist? Well, at times maybe no, because he's a shapeshifter. Is he? Well, he's not the writer because he comes up to the party usually. You know, sometimes he could destroy the party, but it's a good thing to leave a comment on. I don't know exactly where he fits in, but he's definitely a shapeshifter. Ideally, he's probably a mixture, and you could have a werewolf writer. In this case, he's a werewolf fighter, so he's more of a physical thing. Kind of fits his nature. It's a really nice sky, but that's, you know, kind of why I mentioned it, because every time I'm going to write something scary, I always think of those three components: the thing that you can see, the thing that you cannot see, and then of course the words. So that's kind of mixes in there, because if you look at Revelations in the Bible, it's kind of a scary story a little bit. You know, the world is at unrest. There's dragons coming out of the ocean. There's ladies riding the dragon, drinking blood of the saints. There's all these weird images that the Revelation brings about. So I kind of keep that in mind if you're writing a scary story, and of course the ending and things like that, you know. But yeah, you know, Revelations, you know, if someone did a movie called Revelations, you know, it could be interpreted different ways, which they probably have. Of course, that's not what this is. I mean, that's not what I'm talking about, but I kind of keep that in mind sometimes. You know, I might pick up Revelations or something. It might be an idea to do. That may be why I posted this right here. You know, maybe I'll dip into Revelations, kind of read it around a little bit and try to find something. I know Stephen King does that kind of stuff too. Well, got another assignment. It's probably something I'm going to put on one of my t-shirts. I'm headed to the next pickup, Taste of Asia, Chinese. But I did make up a little show. It came out as 239. The only problem is it's actually supposed to be the next number. So I have to go through and do internal edits and all this stuff. But also I have to show it to Linda because she wants to kind of look at everything. It's a sensitive piece. And there's long takes and things like that. So she wants to look at everything, kind of approve it or whatever. And it should be coming up maybe sometime late in the evening or something. I don't know. I'll have to find out. So today's a Sunday. I just wanted to say, if you're a pastor and you're making money off what you're doing, you're going straight to hell. In my book, and in the book of you know, the Word of God. The Word of God clearly states that if you're a minister on the side of money and you're getting a paycheck because you're a minister, you're going straight to hell. You can't do it and profit off of it. So my suggestion, if you're a pastor, go get a job. You can be a fireman. You can go be a teacher somewhere. But if you're getting paid by the church, that's a surefire ticket right to hell. So go get a job. This is a Sunday at McDonald's. Why McDonald's only though? There's not even room to pull in. I mean, I'm just thinking it's like that guy's waiting too. It's like it's Sunday, only McDonald's. You know, every single motherfucker. Excuse my language, but every single person. I gotta let this guy out right here. Back up. It's kind of frustrating, and there's even like a pileup of about 3 of them. If this guy can watch out, there's a pileup of about 3 of them behind me, just now, as I pulled up. See, you can see 2 of them. He's moving on, so there's the 3rd one. You right? Then you've got this one and that one, and a bunch of those. Here's the one thing that I cannot stand about Christianity, and especially Christians. There's one guy went to Chick-fil-A. Is they have to have ocular proof that you're correct, you know? And that's not what Christianity is about. It's not about ocular proof. See that bicycle right there? There's actually someone that bikes to McDonald's. You know, that's how they make a living right there. I remember one time I used to bicycle to 7-Eleven. I came back from New York. I'd take my bicycle and I'd bike to 7-Eleven, I'd work, and I'd come back. It's interesting, they actually bicycle to work. Pretty cool. Probably wasn't her, but it was somebody that's working in there. So as I was waiting in this McDonald's, I came up with some backstory for Gerald Oldman III, who is the werewolf hunter. I think in his, you know, like in his past, he was once a pastor, but he doesn't talk about it. And then, you know, now he's in the back of this Uber drinking scotch with these guys, and they're going to kill this werewolf. Or at least 2 of them are, but regardless, he'll mention something from the good book, you know, and then maybe the guy will talk to him, or they'll have a conversation, and, you know, he'll mention that he was, you know, once a pastor, you know, minister of a church somewhere in Newcastle, England. Turned out I was at the wrong McDonald's. It's actually 4 miles away the other way. So that's MGM. They now own MGM. And I have done a movie that is on Prime, Amazon Prime, called Butterfly. That's the new MGM right there. So basically, to be honest, you know, MGM is big time changing. They're no longer MGM, they're Amazon. So a lot of the studios are going to be run by the 3 big techs, like Amazon, Google, and Apple. Those are the 3 studios that actors are needing to be focusing on. Everything else is just a trade name. So we made it to the right McDonald's, and it's not as busy. So it could be a sign that if it's real busy, it could be at the wrong one. I don't know. In this kind of business, McDonald's is the big problem. In DoorDash, it's a Walmart, which is over there. The reason why is they make the orders really quick, and they cut in between you're basically trying to drop off some food, and they'll cut in between your distance time between point A to point B. So you have to create a point A.1 or A.2 or whatever you want to do it. So you got A to B, right? The McDonald's comes in, Food for Friends app, and all of a sudden, you know. And if you don't know that I'm substituting the word food for friends for stuff like Uber Eats, then you're the biggest idiot ever. Hello?
Give me just a minute.
Okay. The reason why is because, I don't know, I just wanted to. So it had me pick up some stuff at Taste of Asia, way over about 5 miles that way. And then it had me go 5 miles out of the way to pick up something at McDonald's when there was a McDonald's right next to Taste of Asia. So now I'm heading back 5 miles the other way, right? Which McDonald's aren't big money pickups anyway. So whoever's behind this, you might want to say a little prayer. The reason why is because you're not supposed to torture other people because you think that you're Mr. Godly Man. You're not supposed to tell another person, oh, you know, you work at this job, even though the job is legit, and you can't provide for your family doing Uber, right? Or whatever, right? That's the problem with pastors and churches today. That's why I don't like really any of them that are paid. If I know that the pastor is being paid by the church, then I won't attend that church. The pastor must go out and get a real job and grow up and stop holding his little mommy's hand, right? He's treating his wife like she's his mommy, you know. For example, like, yeah, Pastor Josh Smith, he needs to grow up, get a real job. Ricky Primrose needs to grow up and get a Ricky Primrose needs to grow up and go back to his mommy in Oklahoma and get a real job. Megan needs to grow up. Andrea needs to grow up and leave those, you know, Andrea needs to grow up and leave Josh so that she can find a real man, right? Same thing with Megan. She needs to leave Ricky and find a real man, right? I don't know if I'd really take you because we have tainted past, but they do. They need to grow up and leave me the F alone. The reason why is because they're hurting other people, just like alcoholics. It's time to grow up and stop killing me. Now, of course, Josh goes and gets a job in a local factory. That would make sense. If Ricky got a job, I don't know, as a welder, that makes sense. Because personally, I'm just waiting to be employed by SAG, Screen Actors Guild. I'm just waiting for my screenplay to sell. If you don't like that, you can just tell me to burn in hell. I don't have a problem with it. See, it solves the problem. Okay, I burn in hell, you guys go to heaven. So what? Isn't that how you think? Right? That's how you think, right? Well, I'll just burn in hell and you can go to heaven, right? That's how you think, though, right? Or you just go around promoting the fact that you're suckering people out of their money just so you can just point your finger and say, grow up, get a job, or you'll burn in hell. You know, that doesn't work. Because it goes both ways. Do you see what I'm saying? You can't tell another person what to do. So I'm not telling you what their marriage is. I'm not asking them to do anything different to their marriages. I know they have their family. I know everything's right with them. That's what they celebrate. That's their Oscar. That's their Academy Award, is their family, right? That's what they have. If they don't have that, then they would be a loser now, wouldn't they? You don't want to be a loser, right? So of course you're going to have your family. Because if you don't have your family, then you're not justified by God, right? See, the Protestants sometimes are a little too harsh at times with other people. See, ideally, my wife is supposed to be sitting right here, and my kids are supposed to be back there, and we're all, in God's eyes, we're all going to Disney World, right? And that would make you mad, wouldn't it? If Angel came back to me, and I had my family, we all went to Disney World, that would make you very mad now, wouldn't it? Regardless of what I should or shouldn't do, right? And you love to throw around the word bum, don't you? You love to throw that around, don't you? What would you do just for a week without your family? What would you do a year without your family, or 2 years without your family? What would you do? You'd probably go crazy now, wouldn't you? So enjoy your life, enjoy your family, you know. 2 years is a long time to go without your wife and your kids. It's a very long time. It's a very cruel thing. And I know all the money that you have goes right to you and your family. All the money that you have goes to support your empire, which will fall. You see, we're all supposed to have a piece of the pie, ideally, right? It's supposed to be that every man is supposed to have a wife and children. I mean, I do have children. I do have a wife. An ex-wife is still a wife. All she has to do is be obedient and end the war, because she created a war. And if there's no war, then the only option is peace. So ultimately, what this boils down to is a person that wants peace of mind. Peace and peace of mind and security, right? Because there's always better and there's always worse. But I guess I'll leave you alone if you leave me alone. Right? I'll stop annoying you if you stop annoying me. You stop abusing me and I'll stop abusing you, right? That's how it works. That's how it works, isn't it? Just stop the abuse, right, everybody? All go straight to heaven. Believe it or not, each one of these are a street. The other one is King Street. This one's Union. So they have some type of, it says Union Station Parkway right there. They have some kind of street stuff without the street signs. And it goes back and forth from even to odd, even to odd. Thank you. I mean, could you imagine, you know, if all of a sudden you woke up and your entire family was gone? I mean, what would you do? You'd have to rebuild everything that you built for. You know, everything that you worked for, you'd have to rebuild it all. What would you actually do, you know? If you really woke up, your wife and your children were gone, what would you do? And if they were really gone and they said, you know, they're not coming back, they're gone, you better find a way, you know, just sitting there by yourself, all by yourself, you know. What would you do? Listen, you go into a church and you're with a family and there's someone there and you make a disagreement against them. I don't care if it's Al Capone that's at the church. Okay? If I'm not mistaken, I think his wife stayed next to him as well as like Hitler and a bunch of other people. Okay? Meaning Hitler's wife was right next to his side even at the moment of his death. And I'm not praising Hitler. Hitler was horrible. But here's the thing. Regardless, if you're at a church, you cannot judge a single person. You cannot make a single comment against any family member, no matter what they do. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how horrible they are, because you don't really know. I mean, those people were guilty of certain crimes, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't Al Capone, you know? I was working at a bank, or I was an Uber driver, and people are making horrible comments against sin that they're wrapped in themselves. You can't judge anybody, especially in a church, because it destroys and it corrupts the church. It corrupts the pastor. It makes the pastor corrupted. Judgment does. So if the pastor lives in judgment or even discretion, okay, they are corrupted because they are saying, you don't deserve to exist. You don't deserve your family. That's a form of corruption. Pastors or ministers don't have any special rights to kill other people. They can do that with their words. They can do that with their discretion. They can do that with their judgment. And just because you're a pastor, you have no right to break up another family or to coerce the mind of another person so that they do break up. The family does break up, right? Because their mind right? Mind is corrupted, right? The pastor that's speaking, their mind is corrupted. If you're a pastor and you're not going to tell everyone that you're corrupted, then you're not a Christian. All Christians know that we are corrupted. We're all evil, right? They're not God. They're not Jesus. They're just trying the best they can. That's the point. So you're like, oh, leave this guy. He's an Uber driver. Make him grow up. That's not how it works. Uber, believe it or not, even Uber Eats, it's considered in the government's eyes as legitimate money. Okay? But in God's eyes, a pastor that takes the charitable funds and uses it to live in a house and take care of their family, that's a form of corruption. That's a man-made form of corruption. That's not what God wants. God wants you working. So get a job. Amazon's hiring. Leave that church that's corrupting you. Start working for your wife. It's embarrassing to think you're up there like a little kid. I'm reading this book and I'm analyzing this book. We don't care. Get a real job. There's a birthday party. Maybe I should go in there and tell the husband to get a real job and break up the family and that's how they are. That's how pastors of organized religion are today. They're the most evil thing. They're like the Antichrist. They're horrible. Don't trust them. Organized religion. When that pastor walks up to me, I'm like, "Is the church paying you? Get on my face, you fucking bum." I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say effing bum, but I'm like, get out of my face. Get a real job. Then you can talk to me. Get a real job. Go work in a factory. Hey, go to Maine and work in a wood factory for about a year. Support your family on that. Then you can talk to me. And go do something. Here, you see, I take their Bible and I throw it across the room. I'd say, go do something, constructive. It pisses me off. How dare them, How dare them tell me that I can't take care of my family because I was an Uber driver. It's a reservation or something. Someone moved out. I guess I kind of threw a fit there for a minute. I got kind of upset, but you can do it though. It's doable. If you lose your wife and kids, you can move on. It's very difficult because you crave that stability. Every man wants his wife and his children and stuff, but if it does happen, you can go forward and you can make it work. It's very, very difficult. Your mindset changes, the way that you look at the world changes. You start lashing out at other people sometimes. You don't really want to be around other families. You don't want to just show up at Disney World and see all these families walking around holding their children's hands or whatever. You don't want to see these couples strolling, holding their children's hands or whatever, however you say that. You don't want to see the whole family component in front of you. You don't want to see people like walking around going, come here, oh, look how cute, because that life is something you hear in the back of your head because it's taken from you. But nevertheless, you can make it work. You have to just change the way that you think and stuff. But I'll tell you this, as a family man, me being with the kids and having a wife and all that going on for about 5 years or more, the one thing that I've learned is that you'll always crave that. You always miss that because kids are so cute. And your wife is so cute when she has them, and everybody's just all, they're all cuddled up and on the couch watching Paw Patrol. And it goes on for a very long time. It's tiring. It's a different type of life. But you'll always crave it when it's taken from you. You got to really imagine like what it would be like to lose everything. You go a little nutty. But really, to be honest, as upset as I am, I haven't really lost everything. You don't ever lose everything, until you're no longer living. And I don't know what that's like. But when you're no longer alive, then that's a whole different story, because you can't really, no one's ever, well, people have come back from the grave. Well, yeah, they have. People have died and come back and have been able to talk about it. And they would be able to say, look, didn't have the wife, didn't have the kids. I was in the coffin, woke up, started banging on the coffin. They found me, they dug me up, and stuff's happened. Oh, God. You're kidding me. No, it really has. Now I'm doing the whole figure 8 thing because, well, it's kind of a figure 8, yeah. Turning this way. Just kind of want to show you, because it has me going, it doesn't make any other sense for me but to go the other direction if you're doing a figure 8. So I was going this way, and now the map shows, you know, the whole figure 8 looking thing. It looks more like a squiggly line. And now I'm headed back over 35 north, I guess probably towards Denton. I'm in the Louisville area right here with that sign saying Louisville. And we're doing this. We're doing another section here. But anyway, life does turn you around. It does turn you around, and you have to just get on the course and keep going, you know. It's kind of crazy sometimes to try to go back and, you know, I guess amend, make amends. I was gonna say but amend. About to sneeze. Hang on. Okay. So, bless me. There we go. We're moving forward. I mean, the guy that's the loser is the one where nobody in this world wants him. Nobody. Right? Nobody at all. That's not true. Even that person right there has somebody. As hard as it is for them. And that's going to be more common, especially when we get in the 2030s. Everybody has somebody. Here's a man with a bicycle. He has no shoes on currently. I don't know how reliable his shoes are. The church just got out for their late service. The church just went to La Madeleine or Furs to eat and talk about how wonderful Jesus Christ is, right? How blessed they are to have the things that they have. And that man could possibly die on the street, right? For whatever reason it was, you know? And they're continuing enjoying their life. So the good news is it is working. So I'm putting cold and hot compress on the injury, on the contusion. Contusion basically is another word for bruise. It's just a fancy word for bruise. But it's a bruise. A bruise can stay around if it's not treated, if it's a bad bruise. So you want to put cold press on it and then hot for about 10 minutes each way. So 10 minutes cold, 10 minutes hot. And it is getting better because my jaw hasn't been hurting me. I've been talking as much as possible. Just hit the phone, but I've been talking and everything. It's not bothering me at all. And it's a railroad crossing ways, I understand. And I was able to treat it. So I'm still probably I may go see the ear, nose, and throat doctor anyway, just to make sure, to have them, double check it and just make sure. But that heat is the one that I didn't do. So I only cold pressed it for quite a bit of time. Meaning I just put freezing cold stuff on it. And you have to put the heat on there too, because I think it moves the congealed blood around, or it helps the vessels kind of like come back to life or something. But the heat is helping, and then I go right to cold for 10 minutes. So those are the things that you really have to do when you get a contusion or after you get hit or something like that happens. I have a question for iPhone. Now that I've ripped up pastors at the church, going to iPhone. What's up with the blue? You got the blue background and the white text. If it goes from one iPhone to another, it's called an iMessage. Why is it only in blue? Why blue and white only? So you have a thing called Fancy Bubble that you can download onto the phone, and you can change the color of the text. Because if you're speaking to someone that doesn't have an iPhone, the color changes. It actually goes to green. What's up with that? I'm very, very interested, very highly interested in figuring that out. So if it's an iMessage, it goes in blue. If anybody knows how to change that, leave a comment, because it's very weird that a text can go into blue rather than green. I thought it had to do with like the person that you were talking to or something, but it's very weird. So at times I can be crazy, not always, but blue means something to me. I always associate blue with like sadness. I don't know, I used to do. Blue, got the blues. And iMessage does a background in blue and white. And I noticed that all my relatives and all the stuff people are talking to, friends, they're all in blue. Then I had this one friend and it would go through in green. That meant something to me. I thought, oh, she's green lighted, or it's green, right? So I sent her another message, and it went in blue because she got an iPhone, and it says iMessage above it, and then it goes into blue. And I'm like, what? She was the only one that I was sending messages to that was in green. Is that why they do it? So I don't know. And so what I did is I got something called Fancy Bubble. You could change the color of not the text, I think of the text too, maybe, but of the background, and you can send it through. But now she just gets something called Fancy Bubble. So really what that means is that I need to learn to speak in Emojicon. So I need to figure out emojis, because they're all different colors and all that kind of stuff. So that way I can control what, the background of the little bubble. And Fancy Bubble, I don't know if it's working. It makes me mad. I don't want just my messages to have like blue in them. At least that makes me sad. So there must be some way to figure it out, but probably not. I don't know. Supposedly, I had to do this thing. I went on YouTube, and you can have something called, you can jailbreak your iPhone. It's serious. I'm not lying. Jailbreak the iPhone is something that you do to the iOS to make it do all this stuff. So like YouTube talks about it. It's like jacking up your iPhone so that you can do things to it, because they're kind of strict. Okay, so there is a standard emoji language. So it's been globally recognized. And they're studying it on how to actually use it to speak. And if it's, not to speak, but to write. To communicate. To communicate in Emojicon. So they're studying it. So if it's quicker to write a paragraph in Emojicon, then and I'm sure there's probably going to be a book that's going to be published only in emoji. I don't know if it's already done, or Emojicon, where you sit there and you read all the little stuff and then you have to interpret it, kind of like the Egyptians kind of thing or something. And if it would be quicker, and it'd be a globally recognized, just like sign language is globally recognized, meaning it's an international language, and they've pretty much nailed it down to just one international language. Sign language pretty much is globally the same. So if a person from China speaks sign language, they're going to be able to speak sign language with someone from France or from Germany or from England or Italy or anywhere, right? Ireland or whatever, wherever, because it's a globally international language that everybody can understand, right? Like the word I love you, everybody pretty much understands that. So there are international languages. Another one is Mime. Mime is understood in every language. The art of mime. Every single language understands it. It doesn't matter the country. Or the tongue, as they say, meaning the grammar is all the same in mime and pantomime. It's pretty much the same. So the thing is, I figured it out before I even had to figure it out. So if you have fancy bubble, then the other person has a butthole. That's pretty dangerous too. It's like there's parks and stuff around here. Anyway, if one person has fancy bubble, then the other person has to have fancy bubble, I say. So that's how it's understood, because it comes up in your actual text for iMessage. So if the other party has fancy bubble, then they'd be able to catch it. It'll just say it's basically get fancy bubble. Is probably the thing on it. There's probably things you can do with fancy bubble that you can do with other stuff or whatever. There's probably like additional stuff that you can do. So that's the key. So if you use fancy bubble and you send it to someone else, tell them to get fancy bubble. Meaning to go to App Store and put in fancy bubble. I'm not promoting fancy bubble per se. I'm just trying to figure out this communication thing and the color of stuff and things like that. Because color sometimes does mean stuff to certain people, you know. It's a cool bridge up here coming up this way. See, train. Up as a train. Like, I'm trying to think of train. How do you do train? Anyway.